Hey guys, another day, another Mel Bay. I'm going to do Carry Me Back to Old Virginny today. This is still from his Modern Guitar Method Book 1, where he's combining melody notes with chords and even thirds. He's using the thirds generally as melodies as well. This is another song from the 1870s. I've seen it credited to 1873 and 1878 by James Bland. We saw one of his tunes earlier. He was a minstrel writer of the era. This song is an AABA song, and it's a little bit syncopated, although it's written in 4/4 here and in the book, written in common time. It should actually feel like cut time. We're actually feeling this as 2 beats, 1 and 2 and, just a little bit. I'm going to try to emphasize that as I play. You may hear that accent as we go. Another note about how I've written it this time, I've put the B note here that we're playing, and a couple of little slash ticks underneath just to show we're going to do a strum. These will be 3-note strums, so this would be G chord terminating at the B string, the low G note, then the C chord on the same 3 strings, so C, G, and E. The open strings of the G chord again, D, G, and B. Open D, D sharp, which is going to be part of that B7 chord. So is the A note, although we're not making the chord just yet. It will show up later on. Into a C chord, the open G string, strum the top 2 strings, play the 4th string, the E note. Notice how many of the notes are actually chord tones. Open G, open D, and then strum the top 2 strings with the G on top, so an open B string and the G note. G chord still, open D, the same top of the chord, open G, A, passing tone to a B, but it's a strum of those 3 strings again. The E7 chord, I had to draw all the notes because they're so different from what you're going to expect. We're playing a C note, the G sharp, and the open D. The open D is the flat 7 of the E7, the G sharp is the 3. The C is an appoggiatura. We've stepped up from the B note onto the C note, and we're going to resolve back down. It's not quite a sus because we didn't hold it in here. To the open B, and then the A7 chord. Again, I've had to write it out because of the slightly strange notes we're having. We're going to have an open B for a 9, open G for the flat 7, the E note, and the C sharp. So 4 strings, the 5th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd. Pinky for the F sharp, and into the D7 chord, with a C and F sharp on top. That's your first 8 bars, your first A section. Here it is again. Next A section, strum the top of the G again, the middle 3 strings really, the D, B, and G, the low G note bass again, C chord again, the B7 has the D sharp, and now the A and the D sharp played together. Open G for a G chord, A minor chord. We're only playing a 3rd on top, the C and the E. Basically what he's doing is always strumming what remains of the chord above the melody note. So we got an A here on the 3rd string, so we'll strum the 2nd and 1st. Open the G up for a minor 7. E is part of the chord. G, a G chord with a D note, a G note, and the top string strummed. D and the top string strummed again. Same thing on E7, same thing with the A7 or A9, but this time we play the A note and go into a C chord. So to get through this one, we'll have open B, open G, an E note, and a C sharp note. You want to play the A note on the 3rd string. Maybe move the pointer to it, slide into a C chord, pinky on the F sharp and the G chord. B note, D note, G note. That's your next 8 bars. So we've got our 2 A sections. Now we're in the B section. Notice we're up on the 5 chord now, so a new chord. Make the D7 again, hitting the A note on the G string, and just the top 2 notes, the F sharp and C again. These are thirds, C and A. You can play the D and B with your ring and pinky if you like. As you know, I'd rather just slide in there. Open D and back. Strum the B of the G chord, the open D string. The strum again, thirds again. C and A, D and B. Strum the G chord with the B note. D, open G. D and B there has to be a third. Thirds on C and A, B and G, and then the strum of the G chord again. And again, you see your B7 chord coming in. Same A, although we're not playing up to the open B this time, I'm going to finger it the same way. Open G string third, pointer on this E note, C sharp with the 4. Pinky for the F sharp, and into the D7 chord. Same 3-string strum on the G, the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings open as we start the final A section. Open D, strum the top 3 strings while you hold the G. This time an open E. He hasn't labeled that we're on the E7 yet at this beat, but you can see we're getting ready for it. And the same C and G sharp. A7 with the A note, the C chord, F sharp of a D7, and strum up to the 3rd string of the G, and then the entire chord. So let's give the whole thing a listen at a nice slow tempo. Because it's written in 4/4, I'll count it in 4, but you will hear my emphasis on 2s and 4s as though they're syncopated 8s. 1, 2, 3, 4. D7 on the B section. Thirds. Last A section. about 1 and 2 add. See you guys later. Have a good one.